Hey roamers, it's Jamie back at you today. What we're going to be talking about is your RV toolkit. Everybody should have an RV toolkit, no matter if it's a travel trailer, a fifth wheel, or a Class A motorhome, or Class C. Now, if you're someone who likes to pay and not do any of the work yourself, you're still going to need some sort of kit to keep on the RV, just in case you get stuck somewhere where you can't call somebody to come out and help you. So you want at least a minimal amount of tools to be able to get out of a situation and get yourself back on the road. So in this episode, I'm going to go over all that. If you're a boondocker, you're definitely going to have all the tools that I'm going to show you in this episode. So you want to establish an area where you keep all your tools in the RV, and you want to be able to access it easily. If, say, you're on the side of the road and you have an issue, you want to be able to get to it without having to dig everything out. If you're on the side of the road, you'd have to dig everything out and then put it all back in. So you want a nice area that's dedicated for your tools. So I have all my tools in my tool bags here. In the, my caulking guns right there. My socket sets right here, and then also I keep a drill on the RV as well. If you have a trailer, you're going to use a drill because you're going to want to use it with a socket to be able to put your leveling jacks up and down. I have 3 different drills in here. I have this one, it's a small one, easy to handle. I have an impact drill and a regular, and then I also have the 3 different batteries that go with those. They all use the same battery, and then the charger. So all that fits into one bag. So I keep that on the RV. Any type of thing, if you say you have a loose hinge or whatever, you can use the drill to tighten it down and get that all cinched up. So this is my area for all the hand tools and that kind of stuff. Now I'm going to go over what I have in these bags that I carry with me. These are things that I feel that I need when we're out traveling on the road in case there's a situation. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over some of the things I believe you should carry on your RV when you're traveling around. First thing is a real simple one. It's a wire brush. I use a wire brush basically for if I'm doing any electrical and I have rusty connections or something like that, or whether it's on your car, the RV, or even in your battery bay, if you get corrosions, you want to be able to clean that off so you have a good connection. Otherwise, that can cause problems as far as your electrical. The other thing I carry is it's a dead blow hammer. It's made out of rubber. And what I use this for is when I'm putting my wheel chocks in, I like to be able to knock those in place so they don't move around, and then I can knock them back out. I can use this for other things as well, but that's the main purpose of this. I also keep a hacksaw just in case. So if I need to cut a bolt that's too long or whatever, I can cut it with that. And there's other uses if I'm cutting, I don't know, whatever it may be, you're always going to need you're going to need a hacksaw. And then always keep a caulking gun. And this, when we had the hail damage, I went up there and I caulked around my windows because I believe that's where water was coming in. So unfortunately I didn't have the product that I wanted to be able to put on the windows, but I did have the caulking gun, so I didn't have to buy one of these when I was out on the road. Also, I keep a good set of work gloves. These are cut proof, so if you're working with something that's sharp, it won't cut through the gloves. And then I keep a couple of different crescent wrenches, and the reason being, if you have something and you want to be able to, you may be able to ratchet it on one side with a wrench, but if you have a crescent wrench, it's good and quick and easy. I have 2 different sizes. I have a larger one for larger bolts, and then of course a smaller one. And then I do keep a wrench set. These are ratcheting wrenches, and the reason I like ratcheting wrenches, if you're in a close area and you don't have a lot of room to work, because they ratchet, it makes it a lot easier. You're not having to pull the wrench off, move it, put it back on. This will just go back and forth real easy. Also have a breaker bar. So if you're working on something and you just can't get it loose, if you use a breaker bar, you may be able to break it loose. And the thing I like about this one is it telescopes. so you can draw it down and get more power out of it. Other thing I carry just a regular hammer. So if I need, say I'm putting in a tent stake or stakes for a rug or whatever, I use that for driving that in. If the soil is really hard, then I'll use my sledgehammer. I also use the sledgehammer, and the reason I keep one on the RV every time is if I have an issue with the battery cable, say it gets corrosion or the end comes off or whatever, I keep my crimping tool on there so that if I need to put a new end on there and crimp it down, I use a sledgehammer. And the sledgehammer, you put your end in here, and then you with your wire, and then you let that go down on there, and then you hit on the top of it with the hammer, and that crimps it down on your wire. So I keep that with me as well. Other thing, I keep vice grips, and the reason I keep vice grips, two reasons. One reason is if you're working on something and you have a strip bolt, a wrench isn't going to work, crescent wrench isn't going to work. Channel locks may work, but it's only by how tight you can grip it. If you use a vice grip, you clamp right down on it, and then it stays, and then all you got to do is hold on to the vice grip. So that works out really well. The other thing I used to use these for, in the Alpha, all of our storage doors lifted up, and they had the shocks. When those shocks go bad, and I'm sure a lot of you out there know this, if the shocks go bad, you can take a vice grip, clamp it onto the shock once it's open, and that'll hold it open. It won't let the shock go down. So I have a few different ones. I have needle nose ones and then smaller ones. And then the other thing I keep is I keep a set of each standard and also metric Allen wrenches. Everybody knows when you're working on an RV, you'll find flathead screws, Phillips screws, the square screws, and then also you're going to find some Allen screws. So I keep a set of each on the RV at all times. A tape measure for anything. If you need to measure pipe, if you need to measure electrical wire, if you need to measure if your RV, if you're going to open your slide and you're going to hit a tree or anything like that, tape measure, simple. The other thing is I keep a plastic like putty knife. And the reason I say plastic, if I'm doing anything on the roof where I need to remove Dicor or anything like that, you do not want to use metal. It's going to cut into your rubber roof. So I just use these plastic ones. As you can see, I've used it a lot. These won't mess up your roof. So that's the reason why I keep that on the RV. And then I keep these plastic tools for removing. Most of them are used for like auto when they're removing door panels and stuff like that. When we were up in Albuquerque and we had the hailstorm, when I removed the window to replace the butyl tape, I used this on the outside of the RV so I didn't get any marks when I was prying the window out. So these are really great, and they're really cheap. You can get a set of like, I don't know, 10 of them on Amazon for like 12 bucks. And then I keep a small drill index with a few different drills. If I need to run electrical line and need to drill through something to be able to do that, like when we did our batteries in the new RV, I needed to be able to drill a hole to be able to get my electrical line through there. So I use this to be able to drill and make that happen. And then I also keep a razor knife. These work out great. Multiple uses for these things. And the reason why I carry this kind, it's kind of like a regular pocket knife. It's I think a lot safer than the other ones. The other ones, you push them out, and a lot of times you forget. This, if you close it down, it's not going to cut you. And then, it also has a thing so you can keep it on your pocket if you want to. And then a definite use is you need to have fuses. I got this off of Amazon. I'll put a link in the description. This has all of the fuses that are in our RV, but also fuses that'll work in the car as well. I had a situation where our auxiliary brake system, I went to plug it in and it wouldn't come on. There was no power going to it. So I took my multimeter and I checked to see what was going on, and basically the fuse in the car had gone bad. So I didn't have these fuses with me, so I actually had to drive to an AutoZone, get the right fuse, and then come back. So had I had this with me, I wouldn't have had to do that. And you just want to make sure to determine which ones you need. You just want to go to the panel inside your RV, open it up and look at your fuse panel, and you can see what fuses you need. What I did is I went and looked. Pretty much everything I can need, whether it's my car or the RV, is in here. And this was really cheap. I think it was like 15 bucks or something like that. And then safety glasses. I keep safety glasses on. I wear regular glasses, so it's not really an issue. But if I'm working underneath the RV and I don't want to have something fall and scratch my glasses, you can put these over top of your glasses and you're not going to have any issues. And then if you're working where there's, especially under the RV, there's a lot of debris and dirt and grease and stuff like that, it's going to fall down into your face. So it's always a good idea to have this. And the multimeter is a must-do no matter what you're doing. Whether it's DC or AC, you can check to see the status of a circuit. So if you have something go bad, you want to have a multimeter. It's going to tell you, whether something's, power's coming to that or it's not coming to that. Or if you just want to, say you don't have a battery monitor and you want to check the status of your batteries, you can use this to tell you what the status of your batteries are at any given time. I also keep this receptacle it checks your receptacles. So if you have a circuit and you plug in and the receptacle's not working, if you plug this into your receptacle, basically a color combination is going to show up and it's going to tell you what's wrong, whether it's a ground, a neutral, or whatever it may be. The alpha, when I put in the 2 inverters, the whole coach was wired the whole time. The new RV doesn't have that. The inverter only works on the refrigerator, the main TV, and then there's a receptacle up in the front. On Linda's side, there's a receptacle that's live. So you'd be able to tell what was live and what wasn't if you just plug this in. If you plug it into a receptacle where there's no power, you're not going to get any lights. If you plug it into one that does, it's gonna light up all the lights. So say you're not hooked up to shore power, and in like my situation where I told you not all of our receptacles are hooked up to the inverter. So if we're not hooked up to shore power, the inverter is working and it's inverting power from our battery bank. So the batteries are actually the thing that are supplying the power. And then I keep a couple of different cutters, and these are for if I have to do anything with wire, if I need to strip wire, cut wire. And these are really great because you can cut the wire here. It's got all the different sizes of wire down here, so you can strip it. And then it's got almost like a regular pair of pliers. You can pull on something. And then this is your crimping part. So once you get say you're going to put an end on there, a crimp end, you put it on there, slide the wire in, and you crimp it down, and you got your connection. And then I also keep this. If I need to, if I'm working on something, I can use it for cutting wires, but I can also use it for cutting zip ties. So if I'm I'm working with wire and then I want to zip tie it to make sure it's secure, I use this for cutting the ends off of the zip ties. And then I also keep electrical tape. I use electrical tape on I do all my connections and then I cover them with electrical tape. If I do my big battery cables, I don't use electrical tape. I actually use shrink tubing. But electrical tape is a good thing to have. If you need to say you don't have an end right now and you need to get to an AutoZone or whatever to be able to buy a crimp end, you can do a quick, easy, twist it together and tape it, and that's going to hold it until you get to a place where you can actually fix it correctly. And then I also keep Teflon tape. So if I'm doing any plumbing, there's different types of plumbing depending on, there's some where you don't want to use any Teflon tape, but there's a lot that you do. So I just keep a roll of that Teflon tape on there if I need to do any repairs as far as plumbing. Also keep a level, and we have a level on the coach that shows that it's level, and a lot of RVs do. But I always double check. I'll put this up on our counter or whatever just to see, which way, side to side and front to back. Also keep zip ties, and I keep different sizes. I keep these smaller ones, these are 8-inch. I also keep the longer ones depending on how big something is that I'm going to want to zip tie. And I keep those on the RV as well. If I'm working underneath the RV, or if I get to a campsite and it's late at night and I want to be able to see what I'm doing without having to walk around with a flashlight, I keep a headlamp. And the cool thing about this is it's adjustable, so I can turn it on like that, really super bright, a little bit lighter, and then I have the red. So say you're on the side of the road, you can actually do that and let somebody know there's a hazard. So that works out really well. The thing that's really cool about these is they're not battery powered, they're actually rechargeable. So there's a rechargeable battery in here. So you can take, and if you wanted to, say you're boondocking or whatever and you have a Blue Eddy or some kind of power station, you just plug it into the USB and you can recharge this. And I got this off of Amazon, and it comes with 2 headlamps. So if I'm underneath the RV and I need help, and I need Linda to help me, there's one for her as well. So I don't have to carry a bunch of different screwdrivers and stuff like that. I have a it's like a multi screwdriver. And as you see, the end's kind of open, and then it has all these different ends. It has a small flat, a larger flat, 2 different size Phillips screwdrivers, and then a number 2 square bit. And RVs, for some reason, they use square bits quite a bit. And then it also has ones that are a little bit longer. And the thing that's cool about this is, you know, it ratchets. So if I don't have to constantly screw something. It'll ratchet like these do. So that works out really well, and you're not having to carry all those different screwdrivers. I have a socket set. It also has wrenches, so it has some metric wrenches and also standard. And then the socket set itself has metric and standard as well. You're gonna need a socket set no matter what. And you know, it's a good idea to have one. This is really good because it compacts, just zips up and closes, so I can take it out and use what I need to use, and then slide everything back in there, zip it up and close it, and then put it back in where I keep all my tools in the RV. So, you know, if you're working on something where you got to undo a bolt or a nut or something like that, you can use a wrench. I have the ratcheting wrenches, and those work out really well. This isn't for every size, and I have a lot more sizes here to be able to work with. And the cool thing is, if you use just a regular wrench, you're constantly doing this, take it off, put it back on, do this, take it off, put it back. What everybody knows with a ratchet, you just and it comes off really quick. So you could, and if it's really super tight, then you can use a crescent wrench on the one side if you don't have the right size wrench. Or if you have a strip bolt, you can use your vice grip on there and then ratchet the other side. You don't have to have every size, but you need to have a good assortment to be able to do what you need to do. So some of you may be asking, why did I get the ratcheting wrenches if I have this ratchet set? And the reason being, if you take a ratchet and you put a socket on the end of it, and it pushes it out a certain way, it's so big. And if you need to get into an area that's kind of tight, this is a lot thinner. So I can get this into spaces where I can't get a socket and the ratchet itself in. So that's why I got these. So as far as hand tools, this is what I believe everybody should carry on their RV. So I'm going to wrap it up with this. Now let's go over and look in the bays and see what else I carry while we're traveling around in the RV. And then in this bay, I keep a telescoping ladder. I use that quite a bit. I don't like using the regular ladder because I think they're kind of flimsy, the ones that are on the backs of the RVs. So I bring that with me wherever we go. It's actually a 15-foot one, so it goes up nice and high, so it goes above. The other ones I think are 12, so that's kind of pushing the limit. So this goes about 2.5, 3 feet up above. And I use this all the time. I use it whenever I'm washing the RV. If we're out traveling and I need to clean the front windshield, I use this for that. I also used it when I needed to caulk around the windows when we were in Albuquerque and we had the hailstorm, so I used it for that as well. And then in here, I have a few different electrical cords in case I need need electric for something. I keep a cord with me on the RV at all times. And then I have an air compressor that goes to 150 psi and also the hose to go with that. And the reason I bring that, I know a lot of people like to bring those little ones, but they don't work very well, especially when you're in a Class A and you're talking about air temperature, air pressure between 100 and 110 psi. So that's why I keep this on the RV. I take it wherever we go because I'm always checking tire pressure to make sure everything's where I want it to be. Worst thing is if you have low tire pressure, especially in the summertime, you get a blowout, and we don't want that. So I always keep this with us. Other thing to go along with that, I keep a tire gauge to be able to check all the pressure of all my tires as well. And then in this storage bay, I keep these all in a bucket. And basically, if I need white lithium grease for any reason, I use that. This is contact cleaner if I need to clean anything that needs the contacts cleaned at all. This is electronic cleaner, and I use this, I spray this like on the electrical connection that goes from the rear of the RV to the car. You're dealing with a lot of dirt and moisture and stuff like that, so you may get a bad connection. So if you spray this in there, it'll clean that all out, and that should take care of it. Rubber sealant, I use that for around the slides. I keep that with me as well. This is the window track lube. So for sliding your windows, don't really need it on this RV that much because the windows open out as opposed to sliding. So, but I still just keep that in here. This is the stuff that I used when we had the hail damage, when we were up in Albuquerque. I used this to go around the windows, the seal, just to make sure we were waterproof. So I use that. I also keep Dicor lap sealant on the RV as well. I also keep a roll of Eternal Bond on the RV. And again, when we were in Albuquerque and we had our skylight over the shower that was damaged, it got basically all broken up. I used some of this Eternal Bond on that to cover the holes because we were going to get more rain. So I put this over top of the holes that were in there from the hail damage. So I keep that on the RV at all times. It's a 4-inch roll, and when I get down low, I just order a new roll. That's going to wrap it up for this episode. I'm going to put a QR code here and also a link down in the description where you can get a full list of all the tools that I keep on the RV when we're traveling and where you can purchase those. And we'd really appreciate it if you use our links. It does sometimes get us a small commission, and it helps us with the production of these videos. And if there's any deals, we always pass those on to you, our viewers. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you'd share it with your friends and family on social media. And if you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. That way you'll be notified each time we upload a new video. And make sure to leave a comment. That way you could be part of the conversation. Until next time, we'll see you.
That's a wrap, roamers. If these adventures and tips are keeping you inspired, subscribe and watch another one. Your next RV tip or destination is just a click away.